authorities. To the port of Koper is the largest factories. Why were the 50s so important here? Those of you who like history, you know that the Second World War ended in 1945. However, this area was very much disputed. Why? It goes back into the history again. Between the two wars, between the First and the Second World War, Koper and the entire Slovenian coast and the big part of Croatian coast, the entire peninsula that goes now from here, you can see the size of the harbor, you know, like from the business buildings, all that. So the size of the harbor is actually much larger than the old center of Koper. So the population was mixed. Traditionally, the town population was Venetian Italian speaking, and the people in the mountains or in the, let's say, hilly areas in the countryside following the shots, and that situation lasted for almost a decade. In 1954, the Western Allies decided to give zone aid to Italy. The region of the border was taken. And as much as that first 10 years were really, really difficult, and Yugoslavia and Italy were not really very friendly, it is amazing how quickly these two countries managed to patch up their relations after that. So late 1950s, early 1960s, people, because there were people having families on the other side of the border. So the border was not drawn according to, language or ethnic belonging. So they even found humorous things in a tragic situation. So a lot of their movies can be like that. So movie production, filming production of Belgrade studios of Serbia. When it comes to TV production, the shows and all that, Zagreb studios were, I would think, better. So they were much more advanced. So now we are making our way to the central part of the country. Just look at the mountain that you see to the left-hand side. This mountain is called Nanos Mountain, and this is kind of a climate and sub-Mediterranean climate we're leaving behind. Now slightly to the left you see into a valley that will be visible better on the way back. So because we'll be on the opposite side of the highway, and as we make our way past that valley I will mention it. But this mountain is also a decent indicator of the weather. So when you drive from the coast and you look at the top of the mountain, if you see the summit, if you see the peak of the mountain, then we should expect nice weather inside. If the mountain is covered in clouds, like it is now, then the weather inside can be listen to Alpine polka style music, and it's apple strudel and sausages. So that is very, very Alpine Austrian tradition. Anyway, you see that we have plenty of it, and all these supply lines were disconnected. A lot of our furniture companies bankrupted, so or they downsized to a very, very small factories today. Some of them survived, but much smaller than back in the older days. The easiest license to get is to hunt down the wild boar, because there's so many of them and they do a lot of damage. And when it comes to bigger beasts like brown bears, we always have this kind of a public opinion that is divided. People living in the rural areas, they would like that number to be downsized because they don't feel safe anymore. Especially farmers, they feel that their livestock could be threatened. And then people living in Ljubljana, especially environmentalists, are making a lot of fuss out of it when the government wants to downsize the number of the bears, because they see that as a genocide over the bears. Well, it's very, very difficult to unite even a small nation. 4 votes. It was very, very difficult to move that away from what they wanted, that largest block of votes. But that was only the last decade, and that was the decade that Yugoslavia slowly started to go into political disintegration. So the town that you've noticed here, this is the town called Vrhnika. That close to this town there is a river flowing Kamnik Alps. Behind that clouds there are Alps, and there is a skiing resort called Krvavec. Krvavec is a well-known skiing resort, only about 20 minutes. A little bit longer skiing holidays, they would go to some skiing resorts, mainly in Austria, because it's so close. Or in Italy, you know, where I live, I have about 2 hours drive to Biancavallo, which is a fairly good Italian skiing resort. And to us, you know, going to Italian skiing resorts is a little bit chance to use the restroom, or maybe if you want to have a coffee or something. Already here in this first stop, you can see the image of that cream cake that I mentioned. That is the rate of the people making a lot of money is incredible. So whatever you make that surpasses 100,000 euros a year is taxed 50%. So of course he has a couple of million high contract. He wants to pay taxes in a country that takes just a tiny little part of it. So finally we got to our short refreshment stop.